The city is believed to be thousands of years old, largely untouched, perfectly preserved, and unlike anything seen before.
Good evening. We're following a developing story that's capturing the world's imagination. Earlier tonight, a team of international divers
Beneath the waves, where sunlight fades and silence rules, lie the ruins of ancient cities lost to time. These aren't myths or legends. They're real places buried under oceans, lakes, and seas, each with a forgotten story etched in stone. Today, we're diving deep into the world's most mysterious underwater cities. What secrets still sleep beneath the surface? Let's uncover the hidden history waiting just below the sea. Pirate paradise that sank into the sea. This place was once called the most wicked city on earth, Port Royal. The real pirate capital was not just a legend, it was a wild and booming town in Jamaica created by the Spanish, not the British like some movies say. It became the biggest trading hub in the Caribbean, and not just for honest merchants. Pirates from all over the world, even as far as Madagascar, came here to do business without fear. This town was crawling with pirates every single day, and that's what made it rich and dangerous. But then came the disaster that changed everything. A massive earthquake hit the city, followed by a powerful tsunami. Within minutes, most of Port Royal was swallowed by the sea, sinking into the depths like a cursed treasure. Today, efforts are being made to bring back its lost history, but it should have happened when pirate movies ruled the theaters. Port Royal wasn't just a story, it was a real-life version of Tortuga, and it paid the price for its lawless glory. Sunken City of Secrets. There's a hidden city underwater in Greece that's older than anything from ancient Athens, and it's still a mystery. This place is called Pavlopetri, and it's believed to be the oldest underwater city ever found. It didn't vanish in a volcanic blast like Pompeii, it was swallowed by the sea. Buried beneath the waves, this forgotten city dates back to as early as 3000 BC, filled with remains from the Neolithic and Bronze Age. That's long before the famous classical Greek era even began. What's truly strange is that no one knows why it sank. Some believe an earthquake or tsunami may have dragged it below, while others think the sea slowly rose over time, but the truth is still lost in time. Even today, researchers are diving into its ruins, trying to piece together what life was like there. What did the people believe? How did they live? And what really pulled this ancient city into the deep? Sunken city found beneath the Nile. Something big once stood here, right where the Nile meets the sea. Long ago, the city of Thonis Heracleion was one of Egypt's most powerful trading hubs. It was so famous that even the ancient Greeks wrote about it. Ships from different nations would come here to trade, making it a rich and important place. But the land it stood on was too soft and wet, and when nature turned wild with earthquakes and massive waves, the entire city disappeared beneath the water. But that's not the end of the story. Years later, divers exploring the seafloor in Egypt found remains of this forgotten city. Statues, treasures, and ancient buildings from both Egyptian and Greek times started rising from the deep. Today, Thonis Heracleion is a real-life Atlantis, slowly revealing its secrets from under the Nile Delta. Sunken city for a man-made lake. Deep in China, there's a city hiding beneath the water, and it didn't get there by accident. Shenzhen, once a beautiful and busy city, was completely flooded by the government in 1959. Why? Just to build a dam and create a man-made lake. This place was full of life and history, but the government decided to move all the people out and drown the whole city underwater. They needed the area for industrial growth, and Shenzhen was the one chosen to disappear. It wasn't a natural disaster or accident, this was all planned. What's even stranger is what's left behind. The buildings, the roads, and even old statues are still there, perfectly preserved underwater. Divers say it feels like stepping into a ghost world where time just stopped. Some claim the city had already been abandoned, but others believe it was still very much alive before the flood. Today, it's become a popular spot for underwater explorers who want to see a real sunken city with their own eyes. Whether you believe the official story or not, Shenzhen's quiet underwater world still speaks volumes. Sunken city of Cleopatra? This lost city wasn't just any ordinary place, it was once the royal home of the legendary Queen Cleopatra herself. Just off the coast of Egypt, the island of Antirohos was filled with beautiful temples and palaces dedicated to Egyptian gods and Roman emperors. People from all over the region used to visit it. But one day, everything changed. A giant earthquake shook the island, and right after that, a huge tsunami hit, with such force that it flooded and sunk the entire land. That wave was so powerful it traveled all the way from Egypt to Spain. After that, the island simply disappeared underwater. For hundreds of years, no one even knew what was down there until 1996. That's when divers discovered something incredible beneath the sea. They found ancient statues, monuments, and the remains of Cleopatra's palace itself. It was like stepping into a forgotten time. There were shrines to the goddess Isis, and even tributes to Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Although Cleopatra's tomb is still missing, this underwater site is now one of Egypt's most fascinating dive spots, where you can swim among the ruins of a lost world. Sunken luxury of ancient Rome. This place was once the favorite vacation spot for the richest people in the Roman Empire. In the Gulf of Naples, there was a city called Baiae, Italy. It was more popular than even Pompeii. The Roman elite built massive villas there to relax, party, and enjoy the warm coastal breeze. It was the ultimate resort of ancient times, where the rich came to escape their busy lives. But the city didn't vanish in a giant volcanic blast like Pompeii. Instead, the land under it slowly moved because of volcanic activity, causing parts of Baiae to sink underwater. The ground literally rose and fell until much of the city disappeared into the sea. Today, Baiae is a treasure for archaeologists, with ancient ruins and relics still being discovered beneath the waves. What was once a paradise for the rich is now a sunken city full of secrets from the past. Mystery under the sea. Something deep in the ocean near Japan is confusing everyone. A diver went into the water looking for sharks, but what he found was way more shocking. A giant rock structure underwater. It's now known as the Yonaguni Monument. This thing is massive, and when you look at it, it really feels like someone built it with their own hands. The shapes are so sharp and structured, it doesn't seem like something nature would just make by accident. But the strange part, nobody was expecting this. It wasn't some big government discovery, just one diver doing his usual research, and suddenly the whole world was talking about it. Now here's the real debate. Some experts are sure it's man-made, maybe even part of a sunken city from long ago. Others think people are just seeing what they want to see, like faces in clouds. Even the Japanese government doesn't treat it as anything special. They say it's just a natural rock formation. But when you look at the size, the shape, and how it sits underwater like ancient ruins, it's hard not to wonder who or what made this. Sunken church that refuses to disappear. Deep in the mountains of northeastern Spain, there's something strange standing in the middle of the water, a church that won't go under. This place is called San Roma de Sau. Long ago, it was part of a small town, but everything changed when the Spanish government flooded the area to make a reservoir. The town vanished underwater, except for the church. Even today, its tower still sticks out above the surface, like it's refusing to drown. What makes this even cooler is how locals now use the church like a giant ruler. When water levels drop, the full tower appears, and you can actually walk right up to it. People come from all over to see how much of the church is showing. It's like nature's own way of reporting the water level. A forgotten village, a flooded past, and one brave church that still stands proud. Lost city beneath the sea. This city isn't just a myth, it's deeply connected to the heart of India. There's a real city called Dwarka in India today, known as a holy place. But legends say there was another ancient Dwarka that was swallowed by the sea long ago, right after the death of Lord Krishna. People have read about it in sacred texts for centuries, and many believe it's still hiding beneath the Arabian Sea. Over the years, search teams have found strange structures, underwater walls, and old relics that look like they were built by humans, not nature. Could this really be the lost city of Dwarka? That's the mystery everyone is chasing. Some of the clues are hard to ignore. Underwater ruins and ancient remains that match the stories. But no one can say for sure. Still, many believe the truth is out there, waiting to be uncovered. For India, finding this lost city would be like finding a missing piece of history. That's why the search is far from over. Sunk by surprise. This place looks like something out of a lost world, but it's very real. And it's called Villa Epecuén in Argentina. What's wild is that it didn't sink because of the ocean or a lake nearby. There's nothing like that around. It all started when an Englishman bought the land and turned it into a dream tourist village. They even claimed the water here had healing powers, like a fountain of youth. More than 1,500 people made it their home, and life was perfect until nature flipped the script. One day, an unusual weather pattern hit the area, something no one expected. The pressure broke a local dam, and water came rushing in. Within no time, the entire village was underwater. The same magical water that brought people there ended up taking everything away. Was it irony? Maybe. But what's left today is a haunting, flooded ghost town, silent, soaked, and forgotten. Lost treasures of Lake Titicaca. Deep in South America, between Peru and Bolivia, there's a mysterious lake called Lake Titicaca. For years, no one really explored its waters until a curious archaeologist from Belgium decided to dive in. What he found shocked everyone. Hidden under the surface were more than 20 forgotten sites built by ancient civilizations. These ruins had been sitting silently underwater for ages, and no one had ever thought to look there. What happened next was even more unbelievable. Later dives uncovered nearly 10,000 ancient objects, tools, pottery, and other pieces of a long-lost world, but not everything was brought up. To protect the history, many artifacts were left untouched. This quiet lake turned out to be a secret museum hiding stories from the past. It makes you wonder how much history is still hiding around us, just waiting to be found. Lost city beneath the Aegean? Something mysterious was hiding beneath the Aegean Sea, and it took thousands of years before anyone discovered it. In 2015, archaeologists diving off the coast of Greece uncovered the ruins of an ancient city that had been underwater for around 4,500 years. The city was huge, spread over 12 acres, with stone walls, paved streets, towers, and even tools and pottery still buried in the seabed. It was like stepping back into the Bronze Age, a time when early civilizations were just starting to rise. What made this discovery even more surprising was how different it looked from other Bronze Age sites in Greece. The layout, the way the buildings were designed, even the tools. They all had their own unique style. Experts still don't fully understand who built this place or why it ended up underwater. But one thing's for sure, it's one of the most fascinating ancient cities ever found beneath the sea. Hidden city underwater. There's a ghost city hiding under a lake in Italy, and it's called Fabbriche di Carigani. Back in the year 1270, this little village was alive near Tuscany. People lived there, worked there, and built stone houses and churches. But centuries later, something big changed. A dam project was planned in the area, and to make space for a reservoir, they flooded the entire city. That's right, the whole village was swallowed by water, but the stone buildings are still standing at the bottom. Now here's the wild part. You can still visit this sunken village. Some brave people dive underwater to explore the ruins, swimming past old houses and narrow streets. But there's another way too. Sometimes for maintenance, the authorities drain the reservoir, and when that happens, the whole village rises from the deep, dry and visible like a forgotten world. It's a rare moment when history climbs back into the sunlight. Sunken village from the Ice Age. This story starts deep under the sea, near the coast of Israel. There, archaeologists found something shocking. An entire village called Atlet Yam, buried underwater. But this wasn't just any village. It was from the Neolithic period, almost 8,900 years old. That's even older than the pyramids. The reason it sank? The Ice Age was ending, and the rising sea levels swallowed it whole. What's even more surprising is what they found there. Tools, homes, even signs of farming, showing that the people living there were way more advanced than anyone expected for that time. This underwater ghost town proves that ancient people had skills, knowledge, and a life more complex than we once believed. Sunken village of Derwent. Long ago, in the peaceful hills of England's Peak District, there was a small village called Derwent. Life there was simple. Families, homes, even a church stood quietly in the valley. But in the 1940s, everything changed. The government needed more water for cities like Sheffield and Nottingham, so they made a big decision to flood the valley and turn it into a reservoir. They tore down every building, and by 1945, the whole village was buried underwater, lost beneath what is now called the Ladybar Reservoir. But here's the strange part. Sometimes, when the water level drops during a dry season, the old ruins of Derwent come back to life. Broken walls, old roads, and even the church foundations rise from the water, like ghosts of the past. After the village flooded, the church's spire still stuck out of the water for years until it was blown up in 1947 for safety. Now, curious visitors still come hoping to see what's left of the drowned village. Unlike other places, this village was carefully destroyed before the flood came, making it one of the cleanest underwater disappearances in history. Lost city of Atlantis, real or just a story? People around the world still talk about Atlantis like it's a real place, but it all started with a made-up story. The idea of Atlantis came from the writings of the Greek philosopher Plato. He described it as a rich and powerful island nation that tried to take over Athens, but because of their greed and pride, the gods destroyed Atlantis and sank it into the sea. Plato didn't write this as history. He made it up to teach a lesson about how too much power can destroy nations. But even though he clearly meant it as a warning, many people started believing that Atlantis was real. Even today, some people are still searching for the sunken city. Over the years, movies, TV shows, and books have turned Atlantis into a symbol of lost beauty and mystery. From science fiction like Stargate to comic books, everyone has their own version of Atlantis. And the more we see it in stories, the more real it starts to feel. But if we go back to the original writings, there's no real proof it ever existed. It's wild how a fictional tale meant to teach a lesson has become one of the greatest mysteries people are still trying to solve. Sunken towns beneath Lake Murray. Hidden beneath the calm waters of Lake Murray lies a forgotten world. Long ago, this place in South Carolina was filled with villages and farmland, a peaceful valley where people lived their everyday lives. But everything changed in the 1920s when the government decided to build a giant lake by flooding the whole area. Every home, church, and road disappeared under the rising water to create what would become the largest man-made lake in the United States at that time. Even today, the remains of those drowned towns still rest at the bottom of Lake Murray. Divers have explored the underwater ruins, finding parts of buildings and even old bridges still standing. It's like an underwater ghost town, frozen in time. While many enjoy boating and fishing here, few know they're floating right above a piece of hidden history. And secrets of Phanagoria. Half underwater, half on land, Phanagoria is one of the strangest ancient cities ever found. It sits on the edge of the Black Sea, partly sunken beneath the waves. Even though it's now in Russian territory, its roots are deeply Greek. That makes its history a mix of two worlds, and people still argue over who it truly belongs to. Divers have explored the waters around it and found amazing things. Pieces of old metal tools, religious symbols, and even lost treasures from centuries ago. What makes Phanagoria even more mysterious is its past. It was once part of an entirely different kingdom, and that's why historians are still piecing together its story. Every dive brings new clues, and every discovery raises new questions. The more we find, the more we realize how little we know about ancient life here. Places like Phanagoria remind us that the past is never fully buried. It's just waiting to be explored. A secret road under the sea. Something unbelievable showed up beneath the sea in Croatia. In 2023, scientists found a stone road hidden under 5-meter deep water in the Adriatic Sea. But here's the wild part. This road is around 7,000 years old. It's not just random rocks either. The path is made from big flat stone plates, clearly shaped and placed by humans. Experts believe it was built by an ancient Neolithic culture that once lived there. Now think about this. What else is still hiding under that sea? If something this big and ancient stayed hidden for thousands of years, there could be more secrets down there. Maybe even lost villages or forgotten tools from the past. The ocean still guards its secrets, and these lost cities are just the beginning. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss what lies beneath.